We are live on our second episode of the Money Coach Mastery podcast, and I'm really happy to have Tyler join us today. And man, I know we're gonna dive into this, and we know each other a little bit. We're friends already, but the one thing I don't know, man, is how you made your first dollar online. So I just want to kick it off and hear the story because correct me if I'm wrong, but you're pretty much self-educated in the entrepreneur space, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, do you want the you have time for the 5-minute story because it actually ties into money coaches, which is
Dude,
actually
let's do a 5 minute story. Let it ride.
okay. So basically, I grew up in my dad's been in mortgage, real estate, finances, insurance. He runs an office back home where I'm from in California, and he does all of that. He's done that for 25 years, so longer than I've been alive. So
Dang.
I grew up with all of that, like knowing all that stuff, learning all that stuff, going to the work parties, going to his office, drawing on the whiteboard, and sitting in meetings, sometimes listening to all this stuff. So I grew up with it. So my plan was always, as soon as I turned 18, start getting my licenses, start getting my securities license, become a financial advisor, following the
Mm,
footsteps. And that's what I did. I started doing that. But I quickly realized being young, being 18 was an issue because what do you know about finances? You're 18, So that was a big issue that I ran into. However, I started to learn how to leverage the power of social media and ads and personal branding, and started doing that to get clients. And then people started asking me, how are you doing this how are you using social
Sweet.
media? How are you running ads?
You did that to get clients while you were technically like full-fledged financial advisor, or was like handing them off to your dad?
No, so I was starting to get my licenses. So I started out with life insurance and health insurance, and then I was going to work on my securities that next year, and so so on and so
You,
forth.
you want to hear something funny, dude?
What's that?
So I actually just had to pee in a cup today for my life insurance exam.
That's
So I just got life insurance, or
that's
am in the
fun.
process of it.
Yeah, yeah, man. A lot of those companies too, like do non-medical, but obviously, if you're young and healthy, you get like a lot better rates if you're if you do get the medical because it's a lot more
Yeah.
predictable.
The lady said I had pretty good blood pressure. Not trying to flex on anybody here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
dude. So that's how I got started. And basically that launched me into like, well, why am I, dealing with all of this pushback being like, you're so young, what do you know? And when I started doing social media, they're like, oh, you're so young, I should listen to you because you know social media.
Interesting.
So I just like flipped that and I was like, oh, duh, I should just focus on this. So I started doing that, teaching people how to run ads, do content, started an agency, and then from there went into more just consulting. And yeah, that's the 5-minute story of how I got started into that. And yeah, did not go to college. I'm 22 and a half. So
And
my friends are like graduating college and or getting their masters right now, and I'm like $0 in debt and made hundreds of thousands online later. And I'm like,
yeah.
I think for me at least that was the smarter option. But you
Yeah.
do you, and I have no judgment towards
Right. Of
the
course.
other path.
So let me ask you this, man. Why are more people not making hundreds of thousands of dollars online? Because I know a lot of people, and look, I'm preaching to them. I'm trying to help them out. A lot of people trying to make money online, and a lot of people not really making money. What do you think are some of the main things that are stopping people from doing what clearly is very achievable?
There's a couple big things, but I want to make it. Obviously, this is for money coaches, but so I want to keep it a little bit general, but I do want to make it more messaging towards them, specifically because I do have a little bit of experience with that. So, what I would say is so many people are just afraid to start and or reluctant to put in the amount of work needed. Like in the beginning, when you're pushing that boulder uphill, it sucks. And you have to post all the time, right? And so I'm starting a new personal brand for some e-commerce stuff that I'm getting involved with now. And man, I'm posting 3 to 5 times a day on this new TikTok, like alone. Like it's because I'm starting something new. It's just the
Yeah.
reps have to be done.
Yeah.
And so many people just don't do it. And that's the big thing. Or they wait too long to be like, oh, this XYZ has to be perfect. No, just turn the camera on and start. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, especially if we want to talk about money coaches. One of the things I found that is a big point of like friction, mental blockage, like, hey, why aren't you getting more sales? Why aren't you talking to more people? Like, what's stopping you? Like, oh, well, the fulfillment, the back end, I need to create a budget template and my website and all these things. I'm like, dude, that's why we made this. Like, you can literally set all that stuff up in 5 minutes and then you can just go and sell and actually help people, which is honestly what Americans really need, is help with their finances.
Yeah.
Right. They need you building a budget template because there's 100 of those already.
Yep. 100%. 100%. The problem is that we claim that we want to help people, but we get so caught up in being selfish because we want everything to be perfect for us that we're delaying helping others. And then we just get stuck on this wheel of, oh, I need to do this first in order to help these people. Yeah. But then those people never get help that you set out to help in the first place because you just are so selfish, delaying the fact by doing the stuff that pleases you.
Dude, that is such good framing because it's so true, man. It's like the
we all get caught there eventually.
Oh yeah,
in our journey, we're all there. So I'm not saying that like putting anyone down. Like I've been there multiple times.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm there every day. It literally is the like, I'm not gonna lie, man. For anybody who does follow-ups in sales, which is everybody who sells stuff, it's like, dude, it's hard talking to people, getting in the reps, doing stuff in your CRM. But to your point, how do you help people? Are you helping people while you're working on touching up your budget template or cleaning up your course? You can tell yourself you are.
Or doing your logos or the color scheme.
Yeah. Right. Seriously. We're working on your logo, which is the classic. I haven't done anything yet, but I've spent 10 hours making my logo.
Yep.
Yeah, man, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, look yourself in the mirror. Are you helping people and going out to accomplish the mission that you set forth? Or are you kind of procrastinating and, to your point, being a little bit selfish with trying to make everything perfect for you?
Mm-hmm. Because those people just want help. They don't care what your landing page looks like. They don't care what and like, if you're doing this, you know, over the long term, yeah, of course you want to work on some of these things, but in the short term, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You're pushing that boulder up the hill. It doesn't matter what kind of, you know, what color the shoes that you're wearing is, you know, like you just got to grind and get that thing up there, you know? And that, I mean, honestly, when I look at me, I'm like, yeah, that was exactly me, dude. With this business, bro, like 3 or 4 years of trying to figure stuff out, trying to optimize. And I'm like, nah, bro, it's time to just go crazy with marketing, talk to as many people as I possibly can and reach them as much as I possibly can, which honestly leads me into my next question, man. When you're in that process of, I've got to get sales, I've got to start this business up, and I've got to get some momentum, like what in your opinion is the best way to reach people? And let's just talk specifically about money coaches.
Mm-hmm.
How does somebody go out and literally just like talk to a lot of people in an effective manner and set up opportunities to sell, AKA actually help people?
Yeah. So I would say a couple things. I would say first, you need to really identify who specifically you are trying to help, because everybody needs help, but you can't help everybody.
Right.
So you have to figure out who specifically you're going to be talking to, because then you can make a message, create a message that resonates with them. And that's a big thing, that people just try to go out and help everybody and anybody, but then their message doesn't resonate with anybody. So that can be the problem right off the bat. You want to be careful too, if you are, I say this in the most loving way possible, it's really hard to sell broke people.
Right.
And the problem with people who are broke 99% of the time is they are broke because it's their fault. They are broke because they have issues, exactly, that you can't help.
Yeah.
And you're not a psychologist. So don't try to go changing people who aren't going to change. Help the people who actually want your help. So I would say be careful going really broad market. Once again, this goes back to, I want to help everybody with everything. Yeah. Be careful because you can throw people life preservers all day long, but they have to hold on to it. You can only do so much. So I would say to really get clear on who you help. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard for making content, building your brand, and it's something that I stray away from, and then I'm like, nope, go back to it, is talking to your past self. So if you got yourself out of debt, then you go teach people how to get out of debt. Don't go teaching people about, like we were talking about earlier, life insurance or financial advice. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Talk about your personal experience, your story, how you've helped other people. If it's all in that same thing of getting out of debt, start with getting out of debt. Help people get out of debt.
Yeah.
So focus on one main message to one main person.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Actually, when I think about the people that really are succeeding in the space, a lot of times, dude, they'll post I feel like the same piece of content. It's different people, it's whatever. But it literally, I don't know how many times I hear about how much debt they paid off. It's like, boom, every single week. And because it works. Like they're sending the right message to the right people who resonate with them and see that, hey, this worked for them. Maybe it can work for me. To rewind a little bit on this, like, don't sell to broke people. I want to touch on that for a second because I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think oftentimes people who are in the money coaching space, like thinking about talking to their former selves, are like, oh, I remember when I couldn't afford anything. I'll just like make this super affordable, or still try to have those conversations. And I posted a piece of content recently that was like, hey, if you're a money coach, you're selling a shovel, right? Like you're selling the ability to make, invest, save money, right? In my opinion, the way I think, I will buy a shovel always. If I can spend money on something that I know will save or make me money, I'll never say no to it unless there's time constraints or a higher opportunity cost, right? But I have a different mindset than most people, right? And so to your point, like you can't go talking to people who aren't trying to help themselves. You recognize they need help. 80% of Americans need help with money. And I'm probably being conservative. Almost everybody needs help with money.
Over 50%. Yeah, over 50% of people can't even afford $1,000 emergency expense. Yeah. How is that even possible?
Unbelievable. But what percentage, like let's take this 50% that can't afford $1,000 emergency expense. What percentage of that 50% do you think is either ready right now or is working on the mindset to be ready to actually do something about that? Probably like a pretty low percentage, right?
That's why they're in that 50th percentile who can't afford that.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So original question, like what do you do to reach these people? So you talked about a couple things. Clearly define your audience, right? Don't sell to everybody. Pick your person, sell to that person. And then also make your messaging about speaking to your past self, essentially, right?
Yeah, kind of focusing on one main pain point with speaking to your past self. But like I said, if you're a debt coach, be a debt coach. Don't be everything.
Yeah. Don't be like me with an Instagram that says I do like 5 things.
What you could also do though is you can get people in for one thing as kind of your gateway drug. And then in the back end, you can upsell them on other things. So once you get out of debt, then what do you learn? Now you have extra money. What do you need to do now? Now you need to start investing. Upsell them on the back end. Don't sell them on everything on the front end. Focus on one problem for one person. That's it.
And if you can't think of an upsell, here's your upsell. Once they get out of debt, you tell them they can give me money and I can go out and flip properties with it.
And I'll take
you up on that. yeah. I'll give you like $1,000 for the lead.
There you go.
Yeah, that's funny, man. So after those couple of things are checked off, right? Like you've determined your messaging, you know your audience. What's next?
You have to start making noise.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of people have mixed feelings on Grant Cardone. And I don't agree with a lot of things he says. However, I think one of the best things that he's really good at is getting attention. And it doesn't matter if it's good attention, bad attention, it's just attention. And you kind of come back to that phrase of all press is good press.
Right.
You have to be careful to protect your reputation. Totally agree with that.
Yep.
But there does come certain circumstances where you just need to get attention. So you just need to post the content. You just need to run the ads. You just need to do the thing that's going to get you attention. So that is the number one thing that anybody can do that will really make a difference.
Yep.
If you want to kind of direct me in where I should expand on that with content ads, where you want to take that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think what's funny is the first thing you said about Grant Cardone is a lot of people, like, bingo. That's it right there. Like, the whole thing is a lot of people. Even, dude, so I've gone to the FinCon conference for 2 years in a row, which is like the number one spot for money coaches. Most of it, honestly, is like, I don't know, not stuff that I'm super interested in, but dude, every single room when there's questions, bro, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm about to promote my business and be as loud as possible. I even had people call me out on it, like, oh, I knew you were about to sell something. It's like, yeah, dude.
You know what? Those people weren't going to buy anyways.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, bro, I don't care. I've worked on this for 4 years. Okay. I know other people desperately need it. And the only way they hear about it is if I'm loud and, quite frankly, a little bit annoying. And I have no problem with that, because the reality is, if you're not willing to be loud, a little bit annoying, a little bit aggressive, and, like, honestly a dog when it comes to getting attention from people, like, you're just going to have a tough time. And so to kind of guide you on where we should take this conversation, what is effective strategies to not only make noise, right, but I guess systematize it and scale it? Because that's one thing that I think that took me about, like, I feel like 2 years to kind of figure out, because with content, man, for the longest time for me, it was really hard, right? Like, in college, dude, I would have my friend come over and I would try to memorize these, like, 3-minute long scripts that were very, very, like, technical economic stuff, like my theories. This was like, it wasn't great, but I would shoot for like 2
Hey, but
hours.
you were still doing it. That's what matters.
Yes. But the problem was, it would take me like 2 hours to get like 2 videos. And then I would do all the work. I would post them. Like, I had no system. And it took me, honestly, like, I really was never, until this year, I was never in a space where it was, like, critical for me to put out consistent content. Like, it really didn't, there wasn't a way for me to make money from it with previous business ventures the same way now, both for Tandem and for my lending business. But it took me a kind of a long time to figure out, like, how do I create something that's repeatable, but people still like the content? I can hire out part of it. I can scale it. And I know that I'm not going to burn out from doing this for 3 weeks. Like, how does somebody actually go about creating that type of content? I'll call it a content machine, right? Something that you can run, automate, put on autopilot, and it's going to put out good, consistent content for a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot to break down with that. So I'm going to do my best to stay on track with this. I think a really good person to look to for an example of this in the finance space is Graham Stephan. So he, last I knew from when I watched his video like a year ago or something, he makes like 3 to 4 million a month just talking about the economy and the finances, and that's all from like YouTube ad revenue and sponsors. But guess what? This is the key lesson that I want people to take away from this. What is it that he does? He makes the same videos over and over and over again about the same topics. How much, how many times can you explain a Roth IRA, right? Like, once, but he does it over and over and over again, right? How many times can you explain, hey, you should save 10% of your income and put it in the S&P and put it in Roth? Like, but he does it over and over and over again. And then I haven't watched him for like a year or so, but I remember when the economy was just going crazy from, 2019-ish to even now. People were up like crazy on stocks, checking everything, listening for the news. What's the latest from JPow and just like all this stuff, right? And he was just doing the news, doing the latest things. But it was because he found something that worked and just consistently did it over and over and over again. He found a few things, right? Roth IRA, how to invest strategy wise, dividends, market economy updates. And so what I want people to take away from that, and it's literally the same in everything that I've done in online business, is just find what works and then do it over and over and over and over and over again, because that's how you're going to make money.
Yeah.
So, because you found something that resonates, right? It's like if you're digging somewhere and you have 10 gold mines and you find one that has gold, and you're like, you know what? We should keep digging in the other ones. It's like, no, you dig in the one that you found gold in, and you keep digging it until there's no more gold, and then you move on to the other one.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just so backwards. And it's really hard to do because we get bored or we get burnt out or whatever. So I totally understand that. Now, to your point of creating a content machine, here's what I like to do. I like to use short form organic to test what kinds of topics work really well and resonate. Then which ones work the best, then I will take those topics and create full YouTube videos going deeper into those topics. And then you can even pull clips from those videos and put those onto vertical. And then once again, just recycle those back into it, test it, which topics work from those, do it again. And it just kind of comes recyclable. So if you have one short form content or platform, so TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I really like Instagram and YouTube together. They work incredibly well together, especially if you're trying to make money. If you want to do it organic or throw ads in there, Instagram and YouTube together are the secret sauce. Like it works so well. So that's what I would recommend. Have them feed into each other. And if you really want to make money fast, you can, you can run some ads on Instagram and just get more volume in there. And then once again, funnel them over to the YouTube, still do the same thing. Nothing changes. You're just sprinkling, or you're pouring gasoline on the fire. You're sprinkling some sprinkles on top, just adding more attention like we talked about.
Yeah.
And that's what works really well, to get a little bit more technical with it.
Yeah, no, I love that, dude. And it makes me feel pretty good right now that this is streaming to Instagram and YouTube. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's actually one of the biggest reasons why I do like these podcast shows. One, there's a lot of ancillary benefits to it. Like, hey, we just hung out for half an hour. I found out actually a lot of stuff I didn't know about you, even though we were already friends, right? But also, like, you've probably dropped about a dozen really good nuggets of wisdom, if not more so far. Sweet. Audience is going to see all of that again. I probably dropped like one or two good pieces. So we'll recycle.
Well, I'm the guest on the show, so when that's you haven't had much time to talk. That's why there'll be plenty to tell.
Yeah, it's all good. But one of the things that I love the analogy of don't dig in the gold mines that don't have any gold in them. And one of the really nice things about content that I think is part of the reason that you were able to figure out how to make money, like serious amounts of money online so quickly, is that the feedback cycle is so quickly. Like it does not take long for you to get like actual solid feedback if a video sucks, because you'll post it one day, you'll get like 8 views and nobody engages with it. You're like, all right, that didn't work. Let me try something else. And then when you find something and like, look, you mentioned earlier, just go out and do it. Don't overthink it. Like, just get feedback. And people's memory is really, really short online. That's why you can keep posting the same thing, because people forget about it 3 days later. Like,
they also like to be reminded.
Yes. And like, I can't remember a single TikTok I watched today, and I probably watched like 50 of them, right? So your content is like, maybe this downplays the value, but it's kind of like that. People forget, they like the reminders. Kind of hard for people to get tired of that, as long as it's not every day the same topic, right? The feedback cycle, really, really fast, which means that you can learn and grow very, very quickly. Like, it didn't take me long to figure out what people actually wanted from me. And once I was able to figure that out, I immediately started having a lot more success, which, by the way, makes you feel pretty good, and it makes it a lot more fun. And if you're doing this business right, your content strategy right, and you're not just being like entertainment, right? But you're providing value, like boom, you're back on mission to actually help people. And you're not really on mission if you're giving people content that they tell you they don't want because they don't engage with it, right?
Exactly. That's key right there, is that people literally tell you what you want in a really quick, like you said, an incredibly quick feedback cycle. And then that feedback cycle being so quick just compounds incredibly fast.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like back to the gold mine example, it might take you 5 years to know if this mine has gold in it. Content, it takes you like a day to figure out if, oh, people like that or they don't like it. And then you just fail a bunch. There's a bunch of crap that I don't do anymore that I tried out. That either was unsustainable. People just didn't really care that much. And then you stick with what works, and then you just keep trying new stuff, and you keep growing, and then hopefully making more money and hopefully helping more people. And then, you got yourself a nice business. Cool.
Yep.
Okay. So we're getting close to the end on time here. And you're slinging deals right now. So I want to be respectful of your time. Let's say that we've got a money coach who may be working a W-2 job full time, wants this as a side hustle, really passionate about it, right? Maybe has that backstory of, hey, my parents didn't save up enough for retirement, or I had a bunch of student loan debt. I was able to scratch and claw my way out of it by doing X, Y, Z. If somebody is just literally starting, they haven't done anything yet, overwhelmed, not really sure where to go, what would be like, hey, here's my 1, 2, 3 of how you can just get started and get things rolling?
So I think we touched on it a little bit earlier with one of the things. We can dive a little bit deeper with be very cautious in how I've approached business. Let me reframe it. How I've approached business is I jump off the cliff and I build a parachute on the way down. I agree to things. I do things. I agree to helping people when I know I can actually help them, not just doing it for money, but like, hey, I can actually help you. I'm going to need to put this together a little bit, but I can actually help you, give them a big discount or whatever because of that. But it kind of goes into the theme of just starting and not worrying about the logo, the website. The only time I've ever actually even used my website, and I have like 5 different domains for different businesses and stuff that I've used over the years. The only time I ever use that is to authorize and authenticate that I'm a real business to payment process. Yeah. like people don't even like, I just would send payment processor links or like Stripe links when I used to use Stripe, right? And I would just send that because that stuff, we put so much weight and value on it and it really doesn't matter that much. And that's why, Jared, when I first met you, when you were telling me about the 2 things that you were doing, where you were like, look, I'm doing the lending, but but like, I can tell you're really passionate about this business, about really help, because I see the background, or I can relate to the background of where I was at as well. And I had to create this whole thing. I created a finance course for young people. I still have the files on my computer here somewhere.
Nice.
I literally have, it's not live anymore, but I have all that. I did all that. I did the templates. I did the stuff. So I can relate to that. Do you know, it took me like 2-3 weeks of grinding 16-hour days when I was like 19 years old to get this course built out because, some people, I started getting some demand for it. Why? Yeah. Because I started posting the content first, because I jumped off the cliff first, and then I grinded to get it done. If I wouldn't have done that, it would have taken me months, years to get it done because I had no urgency. So I think it's, if you can put yourself in a position and build urgency for your product, for your services, it's going to fire you up so much, and you're going to make such a better product anyways. And you're going to also get market feedback instead of like directly, instead of just guessing at what people want.
Yeah, 100%. No, I love that. That's a great piece of advice right there.
Just jump.
Yeah, that's man, you probably know this because you know more about psychology than me, but this is one of the hacks from Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week. But there's literally a name for it, where if you give yourself like a very tight deadline.
There it is. Sorry. All my books here.
Yeah,
4 Hour Work Week.
but what is it called when you give yourself like a crazy short deadline? It's Parkinson's law, I think, actually, where humans have a tendency to max out their deadline no matter what it is. And so to your point, it's like, hey, I said yes to clients and then I had a deadline. It's like my product will be done by then. Yeah, great piece of advice, man. Yeah, I'm very grateful to have you on. Really, really excited. I actually was just messaging my editor earlier. He said my ads are going to be ready to go as early as today. So I'm fired up to have you start helping me with that for my lending business. And then hopefully before long for this business as well, so we can blow this thing up. I got to get more content out first. Making excuses for not taking action today.
Oh, dude, you've got your plate full. I completely understand because
I really do.
Serial entrepreneurism is a disease. I feel like it's just, we always want to start new things, help new people, build new products, do new stuff. And it's kind of to the detriment of us sometimes.
Yeah, man. It's fine. Neither of us have a family right now. So I'm like, I'll just work till 10 every night. It's cool.
Right.
Quick question though, for folks who are listening in and are like, dang, this Tyler dude probably could help me really blow up my business, help me out with some things. Like, one, what are you looking for right now for clients to help, or are you at capacity? And then two, where's the best place for people to reach you?
Yeah. Honestly, I have a bunch of free stuff on my YouTube. It's I'm Tyler Payne, letter I, letter M, Tyler Payne, Payne. And honestly, just start there. At the moment, I do have a lot of stuff on my plate, so I'm happy to, help people how I can. But I have my focus in some other places right now. I am working with some more higher level businesses and individuals and stuff like that we are kind of doing. However, for people who are just starting out, I've literally given so much stuff away on my YouTube for free, and they can literally go on there, learn how to run ads, learn how to do content, learn how to do all of that. So that would be helpful for, I think, the audience here.
There you go. You heard the man. Check out his YouTube. Tyler, thanks so much for joining. And that wraps up this episode of Money Coach Mastery.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared. See you guys.